Hello folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Nice bright sunny day here, melting the snow a little bit. My golf clubs will stay downstairs, however, until I'm convinced that this is a real spring. I've been bitten on the tail once already. Those of you living in the UK of a certain age will remember a TV show called University Challenge, hosted by a fellow with the most memorable name, Bamber Gascoigne. And Bamber Gascoigne used to start off each series of questions with, and here's your starter for 10. And I'm thinking I'm going to say the same thing. Here's your starter for 10. What do you think is a casual fan? And follow-up questions. How many casual fans are there compared to hardcore fans? And then how important are casual fans to the health of boxing? Now, I don't know what a casual fan is. Compared to some people, I'm a casual fan. Compared to others, I'm not. So I sort of scratched out a few definitions to maybe help the conversation, because I don't think there's a real right answer here. I mean, I listened to a fellow trainer who's on Porky's Corner, Terry Chapandama. I think compared to him, I would be really quite uninformed. But then, I compare myself to others and, I seem to know more than them. But anyhow, is it a person who has a passing interest in the sport? The kind of person who will watch boxing if there's somebody famous on on the show, like they've heard of Tyson Fury, or more recently, like we saw last year, they've heard of Mike Tyson. They still think he's fighting, so they turn on Netflix and watch it. Or coming up, they've heard of Canelo. So, oh yeah, we'll watch it because it's Canelo. But they've got no idea about anybody else. Is that a casual fan? The kind of person who will just very occasionally watch boxing because of the name. Is it a person who watches boxing, MMA, and for that matter, I suppose, pro wrestling, really just for the narrative, the good guy versus bad guy, and they just really want to see somebody getting beaten up? They've bought into a narrative that the promoters, the marketing has been pushing, and so they've gotten themselves all sort of het up, and oh yeah, we're going to watch this because it was in the it was on YouTube. This is a big a beef. This is a beef. Yes, quite. Lots of these beefs going around, eh? Positively herds of them, I suppose. But is that person a casual? The kind of person who will tune in to watch something because, John Fury has been pounding on a plexiglass shield, and therefore they think, oh, this must be a real fight because there's such animus. Is it a person who watches boxing regularly but doesn't really understand what it is they're watching? To them it's just a fist fight with gloves. So, again, they may actually enjoy what they're watching, but they may not appreciate that the person who's on the back foot, who's jabbing the coming forward person and setting them up for counter punches, is actually winning the fight, because they might think, well, the other guy is the one that's coming forward all the time, and therefore he's winning the fight, even though he's coming forward actually not really throwing much and getting lit up by the person who's apparently running away. And I'm distinguishing that from the person who just generally prefers a come forward fighter. That would be me. Is it a person who watches boxing? And this would be, I suppose, maybe it would have to be a younger person because they wouldn't have the personal lived experience. to make judgments, but they think that the people they're watching have to be the best ever. In the same way that, if you watch track and field, usually the people who are competing today are better than the people before because it's an objective measurement, right? People now, generally speaking, will jump further, jump higher, run faster than predecessors. There are some historical records that have not been broken, but most of them have. But in boxing, of course, it's not like that. And so, these are the kind of younger guys you'll see at the sports bar, and then some older duffer will say, Lennox Lewis could have beaten both those guys. And the young guys will be like, oh, bullshit. There's no way. Like, he's 60, man. He can't fight. Well, no, he's 60 now. But when he was 30, he would have murdered those two people on the screen. That sort of, are those people casuals? Those people sort of hate people like me who say that, well, actually, you understand that there was this guy called Joe Louis who was an outstanding combination puncher who would have probably taken both those fellows apart. So, is it somebody who it just thinks that the most modern people have to be the best? Because generally speaking, in many other sports, there have been so much progress that to compare Usain Bolt to Jesse Owens is you look at the numbers, and the numbers would say that Usain Bolt is faster than Jesse Owens was, or Carl Lewis was. If you don't want to go quite back to the 1936 Olympic Games, go back to the 1984 Games. So how do you define casual? And then the other question is, like, what percentage of casuals are there to hardcore boxing fans? I mean, I would suspect that there are far more people who are interested in, I don't know, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank than there are people who know how many days Jack Johnson was the coloured heavyweight champion of the world. Which I don't think I know off the top of my head. 2,198, maybe, something like that. Anyhow, a long time. Point being that there's going to be a lot more people who are somewhat casually interested than people who are boxing history nerds like me, right? So what percentage do you think is there of casual people versus hardcore people? By hardcore, I mean somebody who'll watch virtually all the fights, has a really good understanding of what they're watching, and has at least some history knowledge as well, so that they are not sort of beguiled by modern narratives, which says that, oh, this guy you're watching today is the best heavyweight that's ever walked on the planet, when that's patently not true, right? And then how important are casual fans? I mean, my initial thinking is, well, if you're going to sell out Wembley Stadium, for example, what's that, 96,000, you're probably going to have a lot of those people who are there, not necessarily because they're hardcore boxing fans, but possibly because they are somewhat less than hardcore fans. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I'm really curious, actually. Like, this is a conversation that, like, I've had with Andy from Andy's Cavern, a channel you should subscribe to, by the way, if you haven't already. I think we probably share the same subscription base. And, we say, like I will be the first to say, I don't have the technical knowledge, like I mentioned about the trainer who's on Porky's Corner. I don't have that. So I don't see angles the same way. I'm very enthusiastic about boxing. I have a long memory about boxing. I've been watching it for a long, long, long time, but I don't follow it from a purely technical perspective, right? So what does that make me? And I've had these conversations one-on-one with Andy and with others. So I thought it's a worthwhile conversation to ask, because a lot of us on the channel have probably different ideas. So let me know what you think. What do you think is a casual? How many casuals compared to hardcores are there? And are they very important? Or are they in danger of changing boxing into something that we who've got an appreciation for the long history of the sport would probably prefer it not to become. Just questions. That's all. That's all I got. Okay, if you like this, please like, please share, please subscribe. Please ask your friends to subscribe. That would be wonderful. You know, go pester your mom. Say, hey. So, I think most people who are watching the channel are probably sort of similar demographic to me. So go ask your kids. Anyways, most importantly, have a fabulous day wherever you are. Cheers. Bye-bye.